Okay, hello everyone. A very good morning to all of you, and I hope all of you enjoyed a weekend, a day off, yesterday's day off. Uh, and Today we wanted to start. Means I want to start with the topic we left last time. With we were talking about the courses, the elective courses, and the what Coursera, right? So I hope everybody has registered into Coursera through that Google form, because once you submit that Google form, your email will be sent to the concerned faculty who is in charge of Coursera courses in KBP College, and you will be receiving a mail from Coursera in combination with our college. So you can go ahead and register yourself and get done with the formalities, so that every course that has been offered on Coursera will be of use to you. Okay. So please make sure that you guys have registered yourself for the Coursera. I hope everyone has. Yes or no, please type me in the chat box. My voice is very low. Is it very low? Just a minute. Hello. Is it good enough now? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So have you guys registered for the Coursera? Why I'm telling you, yes, everybody has to register. I want 22 people to be registered to Coursera, because if I give you any internal assignments which will be counted, which will be counted either for 10 marks or a 20 marks, can be through Coursera. So you have to register yourself for Coursera. Okay. So make sure you do that before 30th of July. Today is 27th. Okay. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is elective courses. As I discussed last time also with you, that you might get an option of elective courses that you will be having 4 papers only. So 3 papers will be compulsorily from our department, and 3 papers will be 1 paper you can choose either from chemistry, 1 paper you can either choose from microbiology, or you can choose it from what you say, chemistry, microbiology, and which other department we have for MSc. If you think that any other course in computer science or IT might help you, but it has to be in connection with our stuff, or like which you can connect with. So that way you'll get an option of learning something new and also expand your horizon in order in terms of learnings. Okay. So from our department, we are giving out the course which is known as GCP. That is what we are learning right now, GCP and CDM. And which course you can neglect. See, when you're going to, you have 4 subjects. Everybody understands that, right? So you have 4 subjects, out of which one you can leave from our department and one you can take from another department, so that you'll be having 4 subjects only, but you'll have one option less from our department, and you can take that. Since one subject has been removed, 1 paper has been removed from your syllabus, you can take one another paper from another department. So that is what the setting we are trying to do for students to have the feasibility and that room to go out of the box and select something else if they think that is more feasible for them, or if their interest lies in that particular area. Okay. So if you guys have any doubts regarding selection of a elective course, once I submit the list to you guys about the elective courses and etc., we should be able to decide. You guys should be able to decide what you really want to do. If you want to select any course from another department, or you want to stick to your own syllabus, that is up to you. Okay. So all these things are there that I wanted to discuss with you people. Means like wanted to let you know people so that you guys can take a decision accordingly. So moving on to our topic, which is ethical issues in clinical trials. So now from last year we know what are ethical, what are clinical trials. because we learned about new chemical entity, in which we have learned about clinical trials. And then the next thing we started with is the history of the clinical trials. So what all in history, what all issues faced by while conducting the clinical trials, and most of them were not taking the informed consent form, giving injustice to the people, being disrespectful towards the person, and not giving them enough beneficence. And in terms of justice, obviously there was injustice because only black people were enrolled in some of the trials, only prisoners were enrolled for some of the trials. So that was kind of an injustice. And we also learned from last 3 to 4 lecture that taking into consideration of all this injustices that happened in the history, what all guidelines we developed. And we have in that terms, we have Nuremberg Code, we have Kefauver and Harris amendments that includes Declaration of Helsinki, and we have also discussed Declaration of Helsinki in detail. Then we have Belmont Report, and what are 3 principles of Belmont Report, and how do they help in developing the final guideline for conducting good clinical practices. After that, we also learned about what all most important associations are there. For example, WMA, IEC, ICMR, IRD. What all these associations are, and how they are helping, how they are guiding the people who are conducting the clinical trial. And we had started, after finishing the history, we had started with Institutional Ethics Committee. And we also learned about what is the Institutional Ethics Committee. And let me put this on the slide more. If you guys have any doubt during the session, if I'm not audible or anything, please let me know by unmuting yourself if I'm not able to read your messages, because once I put this on slide mode, I really can't see if anybody is writing anything on the chat box. Okay. Okay. So 22 students are there. Some of you are getting offline and getting online again. That's okay. That's the connectivity issue. So yeah, we started with Institutional Ethics Committee. Then we discussed about Declaration of Helsinki in here as well, and also about national guidelines for us, which comes from ICMR, that is Indian Council of Medical Research. And Declaration Helsinki के क्या principles है वो भी हमने देखे, which is very important. Then we started with Institutional Ethics Committee. What exactly is the definition of Institutional Ethics Committee? Then what is the structure of Institutional Ethics Committee? Very important. Who all can be the members of IEC? This is also a very important slide. Then Ethics Committee, how does it operate? What are the functions of IEC? In short, we have written functions of IEC over here. Okay. And then submission of application of research to IEC. So if you want to submit, if you are a researcher, how will you go ahead and submit your application of clinical trial to IEC? So that is one more thing. Then we were on this particular slide, which was talking about review of the project. So review of the project, how the review of the project the IEC committee will be doing, right? So they will be doing the scientific evaluation, which should be completed before the clinical evaluation, right? Then evaluate possible risks to the subjects with proper justification and expected benefits. So these 3 points, along with all these points also they will be taking into consideration. So what is the 4th point? Adequacy of documentation for ensuring privacy, confidentiality, and justice issues. The ethical review should be done through formal meetings and should not resort to decisions through circulations of proposals. So decisions are preferably arrived at by consensus. Means in the sense, by taking into consideration of everyone's point of view. Okay. So if I am a clinic, if I own a company who is into clinical trials, what I have to do is I will be having a DM, that is deputy manager या फिर general manager, who will be going for each IEC meeting. Okay, so I will be going for those meetings if I have a proposal to be approved. Okay, so I'll be taking all my documents along with the protocol information and etc etc, and every meeting I have to be there, physically be present over there, and propose my proposal, and accordingly they will discuss and put a they will give a confirmation, they will give a positive outcome, or they will ask us to change few things according to their evaluation. So that is how it is. So this is the practical approach that actually happens in the industry, that every person who is responsible for, see, we have a general manager, under general manager we have clinical research associates. So each clinical research associate is given few projects, so given few trials. Okay, so if I am a CRA, I'll be handling 2 to 3 trials. ठीक है, so वो ट्रायल का प्रोटोकॉल लिखना, उसका इन्फॉर्म्ड कंसेंट फॉर्म बनाना, उसके हर एक सब्जेक्ट का डेटा रखना, ये सारा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मेरा है. But who will go to IEC? My general manager, my deputy manager will go to IEC taking my proposal. Okay, and general manager के ऊपर कौन रहता है? Principal investigator, the one who has the brain behind conducting the clinical trial. Okay, so principal investigator is the main person, and principal investigator has to be a doctor. Okay, doctorate in any subject, or he can be a doctor in the sense MBBS person who has done his education in general medicine or etc, something like that. And then he will be assigning the projects to general manager, and general manager will distribute amongst the CRAs. And then that is how each CRA will be taking care of each project they are working on. Okay, so if I am a CRA, if I am doing European studies, then which is European studies for 3 tablets or 3 medicines that they are working on, then all the information ki ye tablet has, for example paracetamol, European protocol I have to follow. So all the information कि कितने subjects enroll हुए, कितने phases थे clinical trial के, फिर उसके बाद उनका informed consent form कौन से language में pass किया, English, Hindi, Marathi, etc etc. All the information along with declaration of Helsinki will be with me. Okay, why I am telling you this thing is because while reading the slides you might not understand कि कैसा setup रहता है industry. So industry has this setup right now. And now everything is been moved online. Okay? So now each and every documentation that you do, and each and every protocol you do, each and every informed consent form you do, you have to have an online record of that. Okay? Until I was in Glenmark, we used to do the handwritten, means like we used to print the pages of informed consent form, and every subject used to come and sign it in. But now through the help of electronic signature and etc, everything can be moved to online evaluation and online submission. Okay, because that is how it is, that is how it is better, because you will be not stacking up on lots of data, and you will not be stacking up on lots of papers. By going electronic, which we are also doing right now, because everything of ours is not on paper now anymore. We are also trying to explore this electronic and technical field. So clinical data management it involves entering all the data of clinical trial on your computer. Okay, so whenever a clinical trial is taking place, so you have to have an electronic data of each and every clinical trial for further approval, या फिर further submission, या फिर archival. ये सारा चीज अभी सब ऑनलाइन मूव होते जा रहा है slowly. In India it might not have happened 100%, but I'm sure 50 to 70% has been moved online. Okay, so this is how it is. So we started with review of the project and how the project will be taken to the IEC committee, who will take it and who will get the approval for that particular project. That is what I told you. So this is a very interesting diagram which talks about IEC, which talks about the flow of getting the approval from the IEC committee. Okay, so IEC date has been fixed, that is Institutional Ethics Committee का जब भी meeting रहेगा उसका date fix होता है. Submissions are made by researchers. Then they decide primary and secondary reviewers. So first submission of the protocol by the researcher will be done. Then they will decide primary and secondary, who will be primary and secondary reviewers. Then they will send the proposal for review, final review. And in the IEC meeting, the discussions will take place, the decision will happen, and the documenting the decision and discussion and decision will happen, and communicate the decision to researcher. Then if there is any revision or resubmission, or if the report is been or the protocol has been cleared in the sense it has been passed, then it will be going on. So if there is a revision and resubmission, then again there will be a fixing of IEC date, that means committee meeting date. Then the researcher will submit, then again the same flow will happen. So your understanding, first the IEC ka meeting ka date fix hota hai. On that, so when the IEC will fix the meeting date, so they have a schedule कि every week में 2 बार IEC की meeting होगी, right? And in that on those 2 days, if you are interested in submitting your proposal, you will go ahead on that particular date, submit your proposal. What will IEC do? IEC will do primary and secondary review, okay? Then send the proposal for review again. Then IEC, in the IEC meeting, then again the discussions will happen, the decision will be taken, the documentation of discussion and decision will happen. See, this is the most important point, documentation of discussions and decisions, and which is known as minutes of the meeting. Okay, so minutes of the meeting, in the sense, what will happen? Whatever has been discussed by each person, or whatever comment has been given by each person in the meeting, will be documented. It will be on the paper. Understanding? So this is very important, minutes of the meeting, because this minutes of the meeting are like approval of the thing that you had proposed your protocol, and this all discussions happened, and accordingly the decision was taken. Then communicate the decisions to the researcher. Then revision and resubmission will happen if they want any revision and resubmissions to be done. And if they don't want anything, everything they find is clear, then your protocol will be cleared, and you can go ahead and conduct the clinical trial. So this is how it is. It's a very beautiful diagram which is talking about how the IEC will be working in terms of submission of the document, and how the decisions will be forwarded to the researcher. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding. Are you guys with me by far? Please write me in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and tell me. Are you guys with me? Students? Okay, okay, good. Okay, so moving on, next is the IEC member secretary shall screen the proposals for their completeness depending on the risks involved, and categorize them into expedite review, full review, and exempted from review. So expedite review, currently अगर हम देखेंगे in our COVID-19 situation, we fall under, all the clinical trial falls under expedite review. That means they want the approval to be done as soon as possible, right? Because currently we cannot wait for years and years for vaccine to develop, right? So that is the reason that currently currently the COVID-19 trial comes under the expedite review. In that case, the IEC has to give the decision within a month. Okay, whether your proposal is good enough, whether you can follow the protocol or not, and just go ahead and just implement it for taxi. Then full review, in the sense IEC member secretary will go ahead and read each and every line, and then they will tell IEC members that whether this particular protocol needs to be reviewed completely. Okay, and then exempted from the review. So this particular guy, IEC member secretary, is doing kind of a primary screening. Okay, before any document comes to me, somebody will read it out for me and check whether it has to go to IEC member or not. And if it has to be exempted from the review, then it will be exempted from the review, and it can just go ahead and he can just tell the members that I have reviewed the document and it is same as that of prior document, and these are the only areas which needs to be reviewed or something like that. Okay, so these are the three categories in which the review might happen of the documents proposal that are being submitted to the IEC committee. Then in full review, what will happen? Oh, they have explained in detail what will happen. In full review, all research proposal presenting with more than minimal risk. Okay. Uh, More than minimal risk, presenting the more than minimal risk in the sense थोड़ा सा भी रिस्क, मिनिमम ऑफ द रिस्क से थोड़ा सा रिस्क ज्यादा है, तभी फुल रिव्यू होगा. Then projects that involve vulnerable population, children, psychiatric patients, etc. Full review is carried out in case involving collection of blood samples, prospective collection of biological specimens, for example, skin, appendages, excreta, saliva, placenta, amniotic fluid, sputum, etc. So in this particular, which are like vulnerable trials, you can say, which involves vulnerable population and involves blood samplings, and all these samplings will go for full review. Okay. In the sense, full review, now you are understanding, see, most of the time when we are doing BAB trials also, when, in the sense bioavailability and bioequivalence trial, we go for full review. Why? Because I can determine bioavailability and bioequivalence only through blood samples and urine samples. Yes or no? Because I have to know at what stage is my drug is been released 100%. How will I know that? Only through doing the analysis of my blood samples. How much of the drug is present in my blood, biological fluid? Yes or no? Yes or no, you understanding or not? Just let me know through the chat box, or it is very complicated the way I'm talking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So yeah. So that is when you need the full review. Okay. Next is expedite review. Those with no more than minimal risk to research participant may be subjected to this review. For example, clinical studies of drugs and medical devices. The research involves already approved drug when an adverse event or unexpected adverse reaction is reported. So you need expedite review for this. And also I told you an example of the COVID-19 situation, right? So currently we are in a pandemic and we need expedite review for each and every proposal that we are making. Then they are also saying that if you have a drug which has already been approved, then you can go for a expedite review from IEC committee. Then when a adverse event or unexpected adverse reaction is reported, in the sense कि ये प्रॉपर ड्रग है, उसके सारे जो साइड इफेक्ट्स है, they were listed, but there is something else that is coming up, some other adverse event is coming up. In that case, see, we have to know this, that whenever if I am a researcher, I am running a trial, that point, if whatever I have listed down, कि headache हो सकता है, lose emotions हो सकते हैं, these are all adverse events, ठीक है. But headache होके चक्कर आके blood glucose level कम हो गया, that is another type of adverse event which I had not listed, right? In that scenario, it is your duty, it is a researcher's duty, it is principal investigator's duty, that he will be intimidating the IEC committee as soon as possible. He has to do that at the prime, it has to be a prime job. अगर ऐसा कोई एडवर्स इवेंट आता है जिसके वजह से कोई भी सब्जेक्ट हॉस्पिटलाइज होता है, it is the job and duty and the most important duty of the investigator to let know the IEC committee so that they can go for an expedite review, and once they review, they can decide whether they want to stop the trial or whether they want to continue with the trial. So that is what very important point over here. Every side effect, every adverse event that happens during the clinical trial has to be reported to the IEC committee. Very important. Okay. उसके बाद next is exempted from review, proposal with less than minimal risk. For example, research on educational practice, instructional techniques, curricula, classroom management methods. These are exempted from the review. That means they have less than minimal risk. इसमें कुछ review risk है ही नहीं basically. Those studies are exempted from the, those proposals are exempted from the review. So over here for the full review, when we have more than the minimal risk, we will be doing a full review. Then expedite when you have all approved drug, when you have a difficult situation as we are facing right now, or when you have an unexpected adverse event, that is when you go for a expedite. An exempted form of review will be where you have less than the minimal risk. Okay. Then following are considered for ethical reviews, which these are all studies which are considered for the ethical reviews, or documents you can say which are considered for the ethical review. सबसे पहले scientific design and conduct of the study, very important. Okay. Scientific design in the sense whether it will be a two-phase trial, whether it is a double-blind trial, whether it is a parallel trial, or whether it is a crossover trial. All this, what are all these definitions are, we are going to discuss as and when we move ahead. Then recruitment of the research participants. How will you recruit? What kind of people you will recruit for your clinical trial? Then care and protection of the research participants. How are you going to protect them? How are you going to make their policies? Okay. Then protection of the research participants confidentiality, right? So see, this is the most important point. Why I'm telling you is never ever in your clinical trial you will be addressing a subject by their name. Okay. A researcher, a clinical research associate, or any person who is involved in the clinical trial will never know the name of the subject. Okay. Suraj, you have any questions since you raised your hand? You can unmute yourself and ask me. Suraj, are you there? Okay. Okay. I hope it happened by mistake. Okay. So yeah, so confidentiality is one of the most important thing, and whenever you are archiving your data and whenever you are recording the data, the subject will be addressed as subject number 1, subject number 2, subject number 3, etc., etc. So they are never ever called by their name. Okay. So that is how you protect their confidentiality or their information, personal information. Then informed consent form. Okay, very important. ICP, that is informed consent process. Sorry, process which involves signing of the informed consent form. So informed consent process के ऊपर हम एक अलग से lecture ही लेंगे because that is very important, and how you should take the informed consent form signed by the subject. That is also very important process. So all this following documents will be considered for the ethical review. ठीक है, यहाँ पे एथिकल कोई इश्यूज हो सकते हैं क्या, ये रिव्यू करना सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जॉब है आईईसी कमेटी का. ठीक है. The scientific design and conduct of the study. So appropriateness of the study design should be reflecting in your protocol. Statistical methodology including sample size calculation. Okay. Statistical methodology including sample size calculation, in the sense sample size अभी हमारा यहाँ पे क्या है, the number of people that are involved into the trial. That is what will be your sample size. And see, हमेशा याद रखना है कि सैंपल साइज डिसाइड करने के बाद ही तुम्हें पता चलेगा कि तुम्हें स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन कितना मिलेगा व्हेन यू आर डूइंग द फाइनल कंक्लूजन ऑफ योर क्लिनिकल ट्रायल. See what is more important over here, why we are doing all these things, because we want to get the data which is scientifically approved. And how can you get a data which is scientifically approved, at least in life sciences field, is having the standard deviation within the range. ओके अगर मैंने 2 पार्टिसिपेंट सिर्फ इन्वॉल्व किए क्लिनिकल ट्रायल के लिए तो मेरा स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन सबसे ज्यादा रहेगा, right? If I'm involving 100 participants for my clinical trial, then my standard deviation will be minimal, because I will have more the sample size will help me out in understanding that what exact pattern of my drug is having on each and every person that is participating in my study. So if I have one pattern of study, it will help me reduce the standard deviation that I'm going to get. So this is the most important. So statistics and statisticians, they play the most important role in designing a clinical trial, because they are the people who are going to tell you how much of the sample size of your project should be, of your clinical trial should be, so that you will be falling into the range of standard deviation, irrespective of what kind of a outcome you get from the studies. Outcome what you are going to get, that nobody can tell, but at least you can pre-design something that will help you come to a better outcome, understanding. So statistician and statistical analysis are the most important part of any kind of research. ठीक है, अगर तुम लैब में भी काम करते हो, कोई बेंच वर्क भी करते हो, so that time also we tell you कि 2 times repeat करो, 3 times repeat करो, so that you should get the consistent data. The same is applicable over here. The clinical trials, the subjects कितने होने चाहिए, so that you come to a conclusion of a consistent data without much of a standard deviation is the most important part. Then risk versus anticipated benefits for research participants. So I have always told you risk should be minimal compared to the benefits. So benefits should be always higher when higher than that of a risk. Then justification for controls used, withdrawal criteria of the participants, justification for controls used in the sense control group and the trial group. Okay, why you are using that particular control, that is what you have to justify. Control सब लोगों को पता है अभी, control in the sense I'll be comparing my study, my drug with that particular control standard, you can say. Then withdrawal criteria for the participants, ये हम बाद में discuss करेंगे. Criteria for termination of the trial, why did you terminate, अब कौन से point पे तुम terminate करोगे trial, क्या हुआ तो terminate करोगे trial. Then adequacy of monitoring and auditing the conduct of the research. Site facilities for handling the emergencies, in the sense if I am at a site, वहाँ पे ICU होना ही चाहिए, वहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर होना चाहिए, वहाँ पे कोई भी इमरजेंसी में when I can handle my subject, I don't have to go to some other facility. The emergency facility has to be present in the facility itself where the clinical trial is taking place. Then reporting and publication issues. So that is what is most important things are to be considered while designing and conducting of a study. So what I'm going to do is, since we are left with these many slides, as I told you yesterday, I'll be taking one more lecture. So I'll be scheduling it after 1 hour or so, and we'll let you know. Okay, I hope you guys can take a lunch break for some time, and then we can meet again. Okay. So for now, I'm signing off. I hope you guys have understood, and we shall continue from this point onward. Okay. I'll see you guys all in the afternoon. Bye.